Mr. Joyce.
Yes?
We won't keep you long.
What do you want?
We were afraid we might have missed you. The flat was empty.
And yes, we're at the Hotel Stature now. If you come there in the morning, I'll see you before I go.
Where are you going, Mr. Joyce?
Vichy. Oh, for Christmas only. We'll be back in Paris in the new year.
No.
Not next year, not ever. You won't come back to Paris at all. That's why we must speak to you now.
I'm busy. Have you come to talk about the book?
Well, that'll do for a start.
Good. The war ruined it, you know. Bad enough publishing in May. God knows what would have happened if I had allowed the Americans to wait until the autumn. But, bad enough. And, not getting any better. It needs time. And I don't have much of that. Finnegan's Wake, I mean. Gorman didn't send you, did he? It's not his book you're talking about. His biography. I've explained all that.
No.
Good.
We hear it's more an
I
autobiography.
corrected his errors.
Not having any of your own to correct, eh?
How are you?
Oh, it's easy to lead a blameless life backwards. We hear you're coming out of it a saint.
Gorman did send you. I've...
No?
Finnegan's Wake. No apostrophe, would you know that? Finnegan's Wake has suffered from too many fools with too little time to appreciate it. But it will be appreciated long after you're dead.
And you?
Wrong. It's my insurance. The most complicated, all-contingency, durable monster of an insurance policy ever compiled by man or litigant. They can pick at it for a lifetime. And every time they think they've got through to the flaw, they get out clause. They'll find that every clause is a claw tightly hooked to the beginning again. So they'll have to start over. And every time they start, they'll have to resurrect me. So I have it in my will that my wake will go on forever. And I can do it sleeping.
Oh, he has changed.
What's that?
When you leave France,
I'm not leaving France.
if the Maginot Line should break...
What do I care about the Maginot Line?
He has changed so much.
The Germans would soon be here, and you'd be safe in Dublin. Dublin.
So much.
The Germans have a great respect for Era. There's a war, don't you know, with the old enemy. And any friend of Roger Casement is a friend of
I
mine.
know there's a war. Every time I publish a book, there's a war. First and last.
Last. Is Finnegan's Wake your last, do you think?
If you can think of anything I haven't written, I'll do more.
I remember. Oh, I remember how he looked then when he came fresh to Paris first. He has changed so.
I'm 57, woman. Why would I not change? The portrait has aged. Let well keep his in a cupboard. I'll keep mine at the top of my neck. The Joyce you remember was young as hell and romantic because that was a long time ago. Stephen Green was going out from Dublin to forge a conscience for himself somewhere else, anywhere else, to change himself by a great experience.
And did you manage it in 2 weeks?
What?
Within 2 weeks, you were back in Dublin. And your mother never got the other set of false teeth you promised her.
And he spent the money on postcards with his photograph on them. The dear romantic exile that he was.
No.
Oh, he was.
He was.
Tell me again why you came to Paris.
Postcards of it? But what could be more natural? Forging the conscience of my race.
That's it.
Indicated desertion.
Not to say counterfeiting.
That was necessary. There are no famous writers in Ireland, if you don't count Yeats. And why should you? I told him we'd both be forgotten to put him off, does he? But I was going to make damn sure I wasn't forgotten. Not even by Yeats. And that's what I've been doing all this time. That's how I got. Like this. Making sure I wasn't forgotten, providing meat for the very best cannibals. Critics not yet born will grow fat and windy on me.
You're running away again.
Yes, but for other reasons this time. I caught what I was chasing. And now, it won't let me go.
What reason?
My reason's not the war. I'm not afraid of war. Just dogs and angry men. Do you see that scar on my chin? That dog bit me right there.
It was a big change.
It was a bloody big dog. Now, what are you here for? And what do you want to know?
We've come to see you off.
Oh, I'm tired. I am only going.
No, not only.
To spend Christmas with friends and family at Vichy.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people of your own kind spending the war in Vichy.
For a few days only. My grandson is there with Madame Joyce.
Where's his father?
He's there too. Madame Joyce has moved her school to Saint-Germain-de-Prés. Mrs. Joyce and I are spending Christmas with him.
Where's his mother? Your son's wife. Where is she?
She is not well. She is rusting. At Soho.
Another one.
What?
He said, another one.
Stanley. I caught you. You're not Stanley.
No.
Oh, voices. I have to depend so much on voices now.
Maybe it's just you can hear them now, because the tin cans you've been kicking around your own skull for so long have stopped.
You've been listening to Stanley. Stanley, brother the martyr, in Trieste.
But you have martyrs everywhere. Even your son's wife is called upon.
And that has nothing to do with me. But Stanley. Stanislaus, after our father, small old Picard, who detested him. It was even though, even when the sun was big enough, they detested each other. Stan. My young brother has walked through his life at a very steady pace and with a bent back, hoping someone will put a cross on it, so that he can carry it with that sturdy, forgiving expression he's perfected. Oh, God, to be ashamed to waste that, having practiced it for so long.
The way he carried your bed?
He sent you.
No.
It was no, he's carried heavier burdens.
And the heaviest?
Right. The heaviest was me. Is me. Me. Is that what you wanted to hear? From the moment he knew I was clear out of range of anything he could hope to do, the martyr was born. Since then, he's been in and out of my life at such long intervals. You begin to think he doesn't want to make more visits than there are stations of the cross.
You would have starved without him in Trieste.
We starved even with him in Trieste. He came to me, remember?
Oh, did he? Yes.
Why? I wanted him to escape from Dublin before it was too late.
It was the only way you could get your hands on his wages.
He wanted to come, though. I would have been happy enough if he just sent some money.
He sent all he could, but it was never enough. Then with the first child on the way, you needed him there. You needed him there so you could trap his wages at the source.
All that sort of thing is forgotten after a good meal. What will be remembered is, I wrote the last of Dubliners there, and I started on Ulysses. And that is all that can be said for Trieste.
But I was talking about your brother.
He's still there, clinging to the past like a footnote.
You have a fine sense of family loyalty. If you can dismiss
He refused to read Gillespie. He wouldn't even take the copy I offered him. And he denies me now.
If you can dismiss
Dismiss.
your nearest brother...
Dismiss.
No.
No, not dismiss. You know nothing about it.
You called him...
I called him, yes, I called him a martyr. I've called him worse. And I have sniped and connived and tricked him whenever it was to my own advantage. But that's no more than I do to any stranger. Oh, that tells you something about me. Very little about him. Nothing at all about us. What I call him is what I'm prepared to say. But I know all the time who he is. Who he is. Who he is.
Those times are all forgotten now.
No, let me. What do you know about him, except that he is my brother, and you think he welcomes your sympathy on that score? If I hadn't written a line, would you know of him at all?
More arrogance?
No, don't you see? If I had done nothing with my life, I would still know who he is, and it is exactly the same person I know.
And what have you done with your life?
I had made a universal reputation.
Oh, yes, but with your life, what have you done? No, let him tell me what.
You're a stupid woman.
The kind you like.
It's the women who suffered.
Women? What women?
Sisters, mother, wife, and daughter.
The men suffered too.
Well,
Did he?
you say so.
I ask, but it's likely. Anyone who came close enough was trampled to keep your feet warm, or used as stuffing. Bulk for the grocer assistant's shopping list. Well, if only Stanley had realized that years ago, what a man he might be today.
You would be exactly the same man. What we are works for us as well as against us.
Then how did you learn the wonderful trick of making everything work for you?
Not everything. Everybody. Poor old Stanley.
All right. Let us consider Stanley. He's married now. Did you know that? Waited long enough. Been married over 10 years. Over 40 he was. Now, what does that tell you? A 40-year-old groom is a cautious man.
But you were 50 when you brought Nora to it.
Brought her to it. I brought her to it, and I brought her away from Dublin. Oh, that Saturday night in 1904, when she stepped singly onto the boat and then stood doubly with me as we butted out beyond Hope Head, and has stood so ever since.
But now she wants to go home. She's had enough and she'll leave you. That's why she wouldn't come back to this apartment. Why you're in a hotel again. Ever since the girl turned on her, it's been too much.
That's enough. You say nothing against my daughter.
Yes, that was enough. You've asked her to bear too much. She will leave you now and go home, and she'll never stir from Galway more.
You'll have to pack more than you think you need this time, Mr. Joyce. You need a bigger suitcase than that.
This is just for the books.
The books are finished. Pack other things.
We'll help you, ma'am. We know what you'll need, and we particularly know what you might forget.
He means the Maginot Line will break. And you learn the difference between an exile and a refugee.
I mean, his bloody life is smashed. And he should identify the debris.
Indigestion.
He's listening, all right. He's listening now.
Smashed! And he's running away before the owner asks him to stump up for damages.
Who are you?
Ah, well, we are the owners, but we'll stand no more forging from the master artificer.
My life is none of your business, only my work.
You've made it our business. God, man, you've rammed it down our throats one way or another since you were... Do you think we wanted to know what it felt like when you used to pee the bed?
Oh, but it was lovely.
What was lovely?
The things he said and wrote when he was young, still searching for a way.
There is only one way to piss the bed.
You ease your rompers, cry, divil take Nanny, and let go, huh? He Jesus, but you were a daring fella, even at the first.
Refugee is right. Nobody said it was wrong. They only took away every choice and made it necessary.
Was this now for the false teeth or the elopement?
They remind me of Cosgrave.
I was hoping I might. And Gogarty and Gallacher.
All three. I hope you're seated fairly. I'd hate a Gallacher to fall on me. Gallacher fell, you know, all the way to Paris.
I know. Here. That's where we're at, Paris. In case you forget which way to turn, we're at 34 Rue de Vigne.
I could have made more.
You made a nut of him.
All right. But do they know, for example, why he had to leave Dublin?
You're a gossiping old Jesus, aren't you now? And turn it into high art by your pleasure. Whether they know or not means nothing to me nor them, because I just remind you of Gallacher. Will you remember that? Because you'll screw no more out of it.
You remind, but I remember. Do all of you just remind? Or have you something of your own? I begin to feel a bit that's true.
Aye, well, that you are.
But 4 goose at Christmas flowers, isn't that too liberal?
No, no, not a Scrooge. No, he reformed at the end. And besides, he had money of his own. No, he wasn't a cadger, Scrooge. Careful to a fault, maybe, but not a cadger, like your man.
At the end? Wonder, would she go away? Beckett said something like that the other night, but I wasn't listening. What did he say? No. He asked. He asked if Nora was going to. As if I'd go without her. But he could mean, though. Was she going elsewhere? What would he know about that? She did ask about the Irish passport. Maybe she asked him, but she didn't mention that, unless she told him not to. He's very close, Beckett. And they know something. She has no reason to leave me now, except for the drink, that's all. And that won't last long, just as long as the money. And she had better reason than that, and she stayed.
What reasons?
No. Sure, Beckett is a saver. He doesn't understand. Nora Barnacle out of Galway. A rude kitchen maid for me. My wife. God save her, she may have been a cook. Heavy, dependable Nora with the auburn hair. She knew what she wanted. Though it could have been anyone else for her. For me, there's nobody else it could have been. Oh, others I could have run away from. There's nobody else I could have run back to. There's nobody cares so little for what I've done. So much for what I am. Devil. She has no reason to leave me now. My long-time companion and lately wife, mother. Just before Georgia was born, that's the nearest I came to desertion. Stanley and I off somewhere together, away from that great threatening belly for a year. Even at that, I meant to come back. I don't think he ever liked her. Jealous, maybe. Though he took her part many a time. And many a time, they cursed me into sobriety, the pair of them, but for different reasons. Always different reasons. And her reasons were always the best. She'd never make a cook. She can't cook. She a placid diner in 1,000 restaurants with a man who may or may not have the money to pay. There's too many restaurant pictures in Gorman's book. Too many eating pictures altogether. Waiting for the bill pictures. Afraid of being thrown out pictures, most of them. Though I've improved with practice. But Nora, that's it. She looks like the cook bustled out from the kitchen to be waited on as a special treat for Christmas. And who is that man she's invited to join her in her high state? Well, he starts off a railway clerk, and he ends up an uneasy, grey and gumsy lavatory attendant. And the dressing doesn't make all that much difference. Or the rings, or the hats, or the beard when I had it, or the well-polished shoes, or the cane. Christ God Almighty. Why was I born with such a brain when I knew I'd end up looking like an lavatory attendant one night? Well read if you had the time, sir. Was a shit housekeeper in the grey twilight for all that.
That's it. I would never have thought of it, but of course that is exactly. I was trying to think where I'd seen those rings before. Why don't you slip on your burgundy smoking jacket in case a photographer drops by? You know, you stand a fair chance of being the most photographed Irishman of the century. The undisputed flashbulb Jesus. Have you no thought at all it might ruin your eyes, or do you keep on hoping that one of these days you might look like a man of letters?
A Merry Christmas to all our readers, eh?
Right. Well, that's about all it says when you've scrabbled about on your knees trying to find out who's looking for cock fun.
Oh, he can quote extensively from Dante, Thomas Aquinas and Lavatory Walls. It's how he mixes them together that I quarrel with.
It comforts me that you can tell them apart.
Hey, maybe that's why Picasso wouldn't paint you. How was that it? You must have seen that something wasn't right.
I have wondered. You'd think it'd show. But as an artist, I could see it. The intellect, the spirit should shine out. There was a time when I cared nothing for clothes of the shape of me. I walked in the streets in sand shoes, all spirit. Now, I have to go well shod and hear my footsteps. I lean upon a cane and point my toes, so that there will be no doubt I am a man of quality. Oh, quite the elegant signor. The coat and the gloves for the serious mind. And the hat for bohemian memories. And who is convinced? Not Picasso. Not me. It's a sign that. Why should I need the trappings now, except that I am much less sure, less inside, less to come out? It's as though it was never mine at all, never part of me. That is true. There is not one character that I have invented. Just remembered. But clear. Oh, how clearly I remembered. Gobbled everything up. Not digesting it, just mincing it. Forcing it through the finest and most elaborate mincer the wit of man has ever devised. Everything and everybody I could see, until my eyes could take the strain no more. And then, everything I could hear. They'll have to give me credit for that. A prize for mechanics. The stream of consciousness, receiver, mincer, pattern maker. I invented that big god, And I'll make them value it highly before I'm done. That's why I have to look the part. And some will complain. Those that betrayed me will squeal a little because I hit the mark so square. And those that I have given immortality to by just mentioning them in my books, what are they to complain of? Of what do you accuse me?
Mutilation.
Oh?
You cut off just what you wanted and threw away the rest.
The rest wasn't interesting.
They're interesting enough for you to beg from.
That's vindication.
And cheat.
Malversation.
While you were plotting and scheming.
Manipulation.
For your own greater glory.
Magistration.
Wouldn't it be simple if people were just words?
I have been concerned with feeling, too.
Aye, that you have.
Molestation. I have been affected by the people I've used and put them to a purpose when they had none of their own.
You abused their confidence in you.
They knew who I was when they confided. What they freely gave me is mine. I shaped it into literature. They should be proud to give me what I need for such a purpose. I need real people. God, if I was to use only myself, sure, that'd be
Masturbation?
good. But there's more on that than you think. As a literary style, I mean. Oh, I could name you names. The sort of book that's bursting with the author's own idealized view of himself, that is polluted with himself.
Now, what about your own self-portrait?
Do you think so?
I ask you.
It's not idealized. There's no self-gratification. It deals with the mind.
Oh, maybe your mind is what you use for it. You've twisted it in on yourself these many years, and you know that can't be right either.
They say it leads to insanity.
Insanity. What?
Masturbation. Didn't the Jesuits tell you about that? They've got masturbation on the brain, especially in Ireland.
Childish conversation.
It's a childish vice. It's the children who suffer from it.
Children. Supper. What do you mean? What are you really saying?
I'm saying what I've heard.
Who about?
Oh, in general, Mr. Joyce, the idea is common enough. And I can't think why no one thought of telling you.
Behind that, what do you imply?
That if Ibsen had written Ghosts in Ireland, he wouldn't have needed to go so far as the clap.
Jesus, that's good, eh? The old hand is enough without the clap.
Childish nonsense.
Of course, you know, individualists hold Ireland's pride. Anything two can do, one can do better, or oftener at least. Because the marvelous convenience of it takes the breath away.
Can you keep him quiet?
It was me who raised the matter.
I do have exhausted it. But that's what he means. There's something else there.
Extensions? Maybe.
Yes. Extensions of me.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
Enough of that. Cough, grab a corner and Mrs. Gallacher, no more of it. Go out and buy me some wine. There's a shop on the corner, but you can go further if you like. Will somebody give him money for wine?
I have money of my own. But I do want to hear your explanation.
If there is one, I'll keep it for you.